assemblé, ou ni veut venir rassembler. Chinois qui rassemblé, noirs qui ont pas assemblé. Ou t'es pas contre ou après t'en plat.
Then, meaning those are men, young men that get coerced into sexual activities from these foreign people because they are in need, right? So they accept. But meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, those are foreign people that are engaging in those sexual activities are doing so for spiritual reason. They are doing so because and getting themselves in those sexual activities, what they are doing is they are captivating the virility and the energy of those young men. One thing that you have to remember for those of you that have young men that you are raising, or from a young men that are going to come and watch this video, one thing that you really have to be wary about, right, is that a lot of the time the men that are coming into our country and that are trying to entice those young men, they have absolutely nothing from their appearance, from how they are, that you can quote unquote detect that they are gay, which is like going to be another can, because now you're going to tell me, well, how do you know and how can you say that people are gay? There are men that are gay that are effeminated. There are men that are gay that just don't disclose their sexuality. However, I don't necessarily am going to say that there are men that are in the down low. What I'm going to say is that there are men that are extremely profound into some spiritual rituals. And what they seek is they seek the virility of young men in order to gain a lot more strength. Excuse the noise. Hopefully, you caught that. I said that there are other men that are very much so heterosexual. So they're not necessarily gay. They are also are not necessarily on the down low. But they are men of power. They are men of wealth. They are men who seek power. And what they do, because a lot of time it comes hand in hand for a certain position of power to have certain spiritual strength. But what happens is that those men, in order to keep their virility at a certain level, in order to keep their status, they seek a lot of time younger men, specifically if those men are in their 20s all the way to their 30s, guys. They seek these men that are virile. They don't seek men that are gay. No, they're not looking for gay guys. No, they don't care for gay men. They seek men that are virile. Do you get it? When you see a man that has a virility, it doesn't have to be that this man is buff, that he goes to the gym. There is a certain essence when you see a man that is in your presence. Me as a woman, I've experienced that so many times. A man who is fully virile, right? His sexuality is not in question. It doesn't even matter the weight that he is. He could be as skinny as this. As a woman, automatically you feel protected. You feel protected. That man, he embodies his manhood. It doesn't matter his weight. You feel protected. This is what is your virility as a man. Being a man that has a virility doesn't mean that you are an aggressive man. As a matter of fact, the man that is always aggressive towards you, the man that always wants to fight, the man that keeps saying a lot of shit about people that are homosexual, a lot of times those are the men that are either bisexual but they don't really want to admit it, or they have been, maybe something happened in the past, and they just don't want to admit it. Because if I'm not homophobic, then I don't have any issues with you being whatever that you choose to be, right? Men that coerce other men, or men that are looking for the virility that you have, they seek that. Mhm. They see you coming from a mile away. They see how virile that you are. They see your virility. They see how you stand in your manhood, and they're trying to crush you. They're trying to break you away. They're trying to break you down. There are so many ways for our men to be broken down. This is why, as a parent, I'm so observant that even with the young men that I have around me, I can feel their shift. Sometimes it's not even in their physical, sometimes it's when I can sense, because those things happen a lot here in my country in a work environment. Yes. Why? Because there are very little to no work opportunities in my country. So a lot of time, men that are in the position of power, sometimes they want to test the young men that they have around them. And sometimes it may just be a comment, right? You got to be careful with how people comment to you. In a professional setting, people are not supposed to comment to you, especially as a man, about your physical body. This is a no. Even a woman is not supposed to do that. No. Even a woman in a work environment, even you as a man, this is why we have all sexual misconduct. But how many sexual misconduct is done on men? A man can compliment you, absolutely. A man who is much more older than you, who sees you. I remember when I was working in 2015, and then one time the lady who was the principal of the school, she looked at me and she was like, she said, Rebecca, you look so well put together. I really appreciate that. You always come to work very nicely. Now, that's a profound compliment. That's a sincere compliment that is coming from my boss. She recognizes that I'm always coming well to work. I represent her school. Every time I come in, I represent her school. So me coming to work well, she's not looking at me like, girl, you look good. Oh my God, look at those fat ass and those. No, this would be a comment that would be inappropriate in a work setting. Like if she looked at me and be like, girl, you look good, girl. Look at your butt and those jeans, right? No, she just complimented me. She said, you are well put together. You always come to work really nice. I love the way that you present yourself, which is great. But here in my country, I've heard it. I've heard it from men that it's kind of like sometimes you have friends and they leave work. You have young men, they were working there, they leave place because of the sexual misconduct that their boss is doing to them. Because of the sexual misconduct or the way that you are not. A man can compliment you, absolutely. He can say, just like that woman complimented me. Hey, so and so, thank you. Look at you. I love those shoes. Those shoes look really nice on you. Oh, look at how tailored you are. Oh, I really like that. And yes, your boss can give you something. Absolutely. But you have to be very, 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 very thin on how these compliments are coming from. When the person is compliment you in your, your body, you always have to be wary of how people approach you, and you always have to be wary of the compliment that people are giving to you. It is so important for me to talk about that, and it has been sitting on me since 2021. And like I mentioned to you, this is really not a topic that I had in mind. However, this is a topic that if I don't talk about it, I don't want it to knock on my door. I have two nephews. They are teenagers now. It's very important as parents that we screen the line of people that are in the presence of a children, that we teach our young. I see so many resources outside for women, girls, young girls, girl empowerment. But I see very little resources outside for men. And how do you have a society if you don't have any men in your society? How do you have a great society if you don't have any virility in your society? Let's be honest, ladies and gentlemen. I know that this is a social topic, but let's bring it to a political topic. I talked about that in one of the lives that I did. When you see a country like Burkina Faso, or you see a country like Niger, Mali. Look at the guys that have taken over and that are doing big move, right? It's a virility. When you look at Captain Ibrahim Gawe, bitch, you looking that man, you men to men. I know you guys are looking that man like, that's a man right there. Yeah, right? In Haiti, who are a part of those virility, the guys that I'm seeing outside, it's frightening for someone like myself who do the work that I do in terms of like social issues, social work, political, and I'm seeing how these people have literally crashed the nation of Haiti. How are we going to build a nation without men that are virile when you have other men that are coming into our country and are engaging in sexual demonic activities? Not because they are gays, let's just put this outside, but because they understand the power that comes with sexuality. And baby, when these men are fucking you from the back, excuse the French, they are in their mind saying and doing all type of devilish shit that is going to break you apart, and now you become less than a man because your virility is attacked. Because let me tell you something, I read a book, actually I think I have it here. um it's a book that is very descriptive, and I never forgot. I really feel like I think it's one of the Tracy Brown book. I think I have it here. And that particular book, right, the girl, it was involved with a man, and not only was she involved with the man had so many other women, it was not even funny. But guess what, he was a man who too was into different sexual activity, but not necessarily for sexual purposes. But let me tell you what I read in this book, what the author put out that I never forgot. In that particular book, the author described, see, this guy, he was a drug dealer, right? So he was into selling narcotics. And then there was one of his client who wanted something from him, but that person was a man, a crackhead, and that person didn't have the money for the hit and really, really wanted some substance from that man. So the man told him, I'm only doing this once. And he told the guy, if you do this with me, and I will give you your substance. He asked for oral sex. But what I never forgot, I have to look for this book. I'm probably sure it's the Tracy Brown White Line. I'm probably sure that's the book. He said to that man. So they went somewhere dark in the alley, and the man started to proceed to give him oral sex. But this is the gag. When the author was describing the sexual act, she described that sexual act as if that man, that was the bad, best sex, oral sex as they never had. And the way that the book was written, she was giving the man, like his emotion as the other guy was doing it. So the description of that particular scene was the way that, the jaw, because men and women, we have different bodies, honey. No matter how much you want to say that you want to be a trend, baby, you're still going to be a man. Initially, God created you as a man. That is who you're always going to be. Women are your physiology is always going to be masculine. So he was describing it as the best that he ever had, because he was saying that when the jaw of that man was doing it, it's like every time the guy was pulling it, it just was the best feeling. Meaning that that is a man who's always going to have those type of experiences. You know why? Because it's a different experience and he enjoyed it. It's a different experience and he enjoys it. And this is a pleasure that a woman will never be able to give to him, because a woman doesn't have the same jaw. The man had many women line up, but he still went for men when it was that time. When he felt it, it's the same thing. Sister Soldier, no disrespect, another great book that I've read. In that particular book, and the way that Soldier was talking about the men that she had encountered, she talked about one of the men that she met. He checked all the box, virility, good man, like everything, checked all the box. However, one time the guy totally disappeared on her. She never saw the guy. She didn't know what happened with the guy. Kept calling the guy. The guy just disappeared on her. And when the guy reappeared, and I think the story, I have that book here as well. And I think the story is that when he was a young man, he got into a relationship with a mentor, another man. And every time that other man came in town or something of the sort, it didn't matter who that guy was with. Automatically he went to that other guy. I'm talking about a grown man. It's very important for us to understand those I don't want to say issues, but those subject, because at 40 I found myself that I have godsons, nephews, people that are coming around me, and the information needs to be put out. There's a lot more that could be said, but this is going to be it for today, ladies and gentlemen. One of the things that I would want to do with the coaching and the mentorship program of 2024 is that I actually want to receive some men, young men, in my program, as young as in your early late 20s to as old as your mid 30s. It's very important, and don't be afraid to have a woman as a mentor, because you have balance in life, right? What a man is willing to teach me as a woman is not what a woman can teach me. Because a man is going to see things from one particular perspective, and a man is going to tell me things in a certain type of way that I'm not going to see it. Whereas a woman is going to look at things from a different type of way, and she's going to give you a perspective that another man would not be able. Another factor that I've seen, and years ago when I was doing some volunteering, there were a lot of men who were from a U.S. organization who came to Haiti with the idea that they really wanted to um, to have a mentorship men program. And I don't know. Around that time, I used to be in that particular space. But later, I find out that a lot of these guys were also involved in those type of weird activities, and they wanted to do mentorship. So I don't know how I really feel with men coming into my country and saying that they want to mentor men, although I feel like it's needed. But one thing that I'm going to say to any young man that is going to watch, or older men, because believe between you and I, sometimes you are way in your 40s as a man, and you got other men trying to test your grill. They're trying to test that virility. They're trying to see how much they can get. They're trying to see how they can wiggle themselves into you. A couple of things that I will tell you as a man that you should never discuss with another man: your private life. You do not discuss, if you are a married man, you do not discuss with another man what's going on in your marital situation. If you feel like there's a problem in your marriage, you seek counsel, professional counsel, and even so, even then, you have to be very careful as to those professional counsel. I always say that your spirituality needs to be there, because the the best counsel that you'll ever have is with the heavens. If you can pray, if you know how to pray. People are so devilish these days with their ideas, with what they're trying to do. A lot of time, people want to infiltrate. They want to see what's going on in your life. They want to see how what's going on with your family. They want to see or crack open a little, maybe, comment je dirais, fissure. Sometimes it's like there's no problem with your family, but there are discordance with the family. There are, you know, people disagree all the time. And here you are, and all your naivety, and you are opening up to another man, letting them know that, hey, this is what's going on. Meanwhile, unbeknownst to you, that other man might just be envious of you. He may just not like the fact that you have a wonderful family, the fact that your wife loves you, the fact that your children loves you and they respect you. You don't know what's going on in their lives. A lot of time people will portray something that is not the truth. People portray an imaginary family. Let's just put this out there: imaginary family, meaning they create in their mind the family that they feel like they would want, but that's not really what's going on. They have no connection with their wives. Their children pretty much hates them, but they're trying to portray something that is not. And they're looking at you. They're looking at your family. They're looking at everything that you have going on, and they're lying to you. They want to infiltrate themselves with what you have going on and break away what you have trying to build. We could talk forever, and perhaps this should be a live discussion, because, as a video, I don't want it to be too long. But like I said, there are so many topics that I am going to have to bring into my channel, because the level of I don't even want to say nonsense um that is going on with, not only with our nation, but primarily with our nation, because either people who are privy of those information don't want to put it out, either they don't want to talk about it, or it's kind of like people are afraid to bring out those topics. I mean, I understand. I've been sitting on it since 2021. I did not want to talk about it. But when you're looking at the entire nation of Haiti, and you see what's going on, you understand that we have to start back at ground zero. All right. Thank you so much for a first discussion on this channel. Don't forget to follow me on all my social media accounts. I am here on YouTube over at DL Consulting Firm 83. I also have an Instagram account at Consulting Firm 83, and on TikTok as well, Miss Daisy Love 83, and my other channel, which is Daisy Love 83. Thank you so much, guys. Take it with a grain of salt, and we are getting the ball rolling.
Okay. 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 Ou pa kmande pou liye vemeni rassemble. Chinois gen rassemble, nou ak yo pa assemble. Ou te bat contre ou te place pas de